So, can you guess where I've been? If you can't, you probably haven't been watching this channel very long, and you probably don't know me very well. So, of course, I got some more books. Some I bought, some I got from the library. So, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. The first one I got was A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair, and this is a Hades and Fesferon retelling. And as you've seen the past couple months, I've been reading Lore Olympus and have really enjoyed that. And I've always kind of liked the idea of Hades and Fesferon. It's been something that's intrigued me. And in this one, Fesferon is the goddess of spring in title only. She cannot make things bloom, and so she moves to try to escape that, and she winds up falling for Hades, of course. So I'm definitely interested to get into that. Then I got A Magic Steeped in Poison, and its sequel, A Venom Dark and Sweet. These are by Judy Lin, and this is, I believe, the whole series. I believe it's just a duology. And it is about basically a magic system that has to do with tea. And I do enjoy drinking tea, and so I found that rather interesting. And our main character, her mother has died from a poison tea, and now her sister is at death's edge from the same tea. And there is a competition of some sort, and this competition is the only way she can save her sister. So it sounds really good, and I'm definitely interested to get into that. Hopefully this will be maybe January, maybe February. Then I got Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and of course she wrote Lunar Chronicles. I absolutely love Lunar Chronicles and the way she changed the fairy tales. This is a retelling of Alice in Wonderland, and this is from the Red Queen's point of view. And I find the villains very interesting in stories, and I feel like you can do so much with their backgrounds. So I'm really interested to see how exactly the Red Queen becomes the way she is. And this is a standalone, so I do like that as well. Then I got another Marissa Meyer book, which is Renegades. And this is more of a science fiction. Basically, this is about superheroes and villains. And particularly, it is about the most famous superhero and villain and how they went from being friends to enemies. And there are 2 more books in this series, but I couldn't find them. However, once I actually start this, I will be getting those very shortly, I'm sure. Yeah, I love Marissa Meyer's, the way she writes. I feel like her stories are very absorbing. And so, that's kind of why I've been getting a lot of her books. Then I picked up a couple mangas. I got the first American edition of Saint Young Men, which is in hardcover, and it is actually 2 volumes in one. So this is about Jesus and Buddha, and they decide to take some time off from being deities and live together in modern day Tokyo. I've read the first chapter of this, and I do have to say it is pretty funny, and I'm glad that there's like a full page of notes after each chapter, because there are some things that I get they're supposed to be a pun or a joke of some sort, but I might not fully get it, and the notes really help explain that. And one of the things that's really funny is, as you can see, Jesus and Buddha both have some writing on their shirt, and the translations of what their shirts say are pretty funny, and they actually fit them. Of course, one of the Buddhas was named Siddhartha, and that's who this Buddha is themed after. So one of his shirts says Siddhartha, one says Nirvana, One of Jesus's says amen, one says millennium, and there's many others in there. And this is one that I do think it's very well done as well. I feel like there is no put down of the religions. These just happen to be deities of two religions, and that's all. And there are parts of the religions that are used, but they're not used in a mean way. I feel like it's very tastefully done. And then we have two Junji Ito books, Black Paradox, and this is about four people who want to commit suicide. They meet online and they basically run into a bunch of weird things because Junji Ito. Then we have The Liminal Zone, and this is 4 short stories. And again, I don't know a whole lot about this one, but Junji Ito, I am going to collect everything he writes at some point because I really do like his stories, and his art is very interesting, as you can see. And then that's all that I bought. I've got quite a few from the library. So Shea Ernshaw is one of my favorite authors. So I got her 2 newest books, A History of Wild Places, which is her first adult book. And then I've got A Wilderness of Stars, which is one of her YA books. And I love the fact that all her books have this little crescent moon on them. She also wrote Winterwood and The Wicked Deep. I do have to say I like The Wicked Deep better, but both of them were very dark and atmospheric, and I just love her writing. And another book she wrote that I believe I've mentioned before is Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, about Sally from A Nightmare Before Christmas. I still haven't read that, but I feel like she'd be the perfect author for that, so I'm really excited. Now, A Wilderness of Stars is, I believe, where fears come to life. Okay. Yes. There is a disease, and the knowledge is in the stars on how to cure it. So that sounds really interesting. And then A History of Wild Places, it says that there is a person who has a talent for finding missing people. So this one sounds like it will be more of a contemporary than having fantasy in it. Still excited to read those. Then I've been working on the DC Ink and DC Zoom comics. So I have Mara Tidebreaker and Swamp Thing, Twin Branches. And I was actually pretty happy to get these physically. I like having my physical books. And of course, you know who both these characters are. I don't know a whole lot about how the stories are going to be different. But I have been enjoying these, so I'm looking forward to reading them soon. Then I have the Remixed Classics. This is the newest one, Self-Made Boys. And this is a remix of The Great Gatsby, in which The Great Gatsby is transgendered, as is Nick. And Nick is also Puerto Rican, as is his cousin. And his cousin is Daisy. And of course that goes into the original. And so Daisy has tried to hide her heritage. And so this sounds like it will explore a lot of themes that the original didn't and kind of tie them all together. I've really been enjoying this series, so I'm looking forward to get to this after I've finished What Souls Are Made Of. Then the final thing I got was the last 2 books in the Book of the Ice, and that is The Girl and the Mountain and The Girl and the Moon. So I still haven't read the very first one in this series, but I do know this trilogy, The Book of the Ice, is set on the world Abeth, which is the same world that Red Sister was set on, and I absolutely love the Red Sister trilogy, and I find that world very fascinating, and I'm looking forward to actually learning more about, like, the wild places, the ice on Abeth in this trilogy, because the Red Sister trilogy was in the Corridor, which is the more forgiving, not that forgiving, I should say, but it is more forgiving. You won't freeze to death, at least, and there's less natural pitfalls. So I'm definitely interested in reading all of these books. I am planning to try to get to them all this year. However, as you've seen on my other reading blogs, I have a lot of books from the library, and I'm also working on getting this little series here, Komi Can't Communicate. This actually won in the manga group that I'm a moderator for on Goodreads, and this won in December. However, I could not get volume 1 because my library only has 1 copy, and I am the 3rd person who wants it. Right now I'm number 2, and I believe I have almost all the volumes up to 21. They have 22 and 23 on order, and I am on hold for those as well. So I'm looking forward to diving into this series about a socially awkward girl who wants to make 100 friends. So that's everything I've gotten recently, and I am hoping to cut back on some book hauls until I do some major clearing out of these library books that I have to read and my own books that I have to read. Thank you for joining me in the book cave this morning, and I hope your 2023 is off to a great start.